Well, that's the shortest set I have ever done. I usually keep people captive for at least a good 40 minutes. So you can either thank me or I need to apologize to you. I'm not sure which. It was getting too intense. It was time for me to dive and bail. So that's one of the things that happens when you do this performance artsy thing, and you do a lot of it off the cuff. As you can see, I have some of it written, and I stray mightily many times, and sometimes I'm treading water, and hopefully not a lot of it shows. But what happens is if I don't let myself take those chances, my material will not grow, and that's the most important thing to me. So what I've actually done is transfer most of what I used to do from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. in a coffee shop with friends to the stage. And they were as stuck as you are, because I always put them on the inside of the booth. So I do try to have some fun with it, and it's always amazing to me that I can take the same material, pretty much the same material, put it in a different venue, a different room, and I'll just have people hysterically falling on the floor. I will feel like I'm the only person that's made rape funny. They'll just be laughing, and they think it's so funny. I mean, by the end, they finally kind of get it, you know. But, so I can't control that. And so this is a real new exercise for me. I've been doing it this way for about a year now, not quite a year. And the feeling of being out of control is not good. It's bad. That's a bad thing. And so I ended the show early because I was not in control. It was driving me crazy. I wanted you all to respond a little different way. It was getting too intense, but of course I was presenting intense material. So, you know, I bailed. But that's what I get to learn about myself, what I get to learn about the material. And so I said it before the break, but I really do mean it. I appreciate you being an audience and being willing to come back time and again for the works in progress. I learn something every time. I'm just going to open with a few things. I don't even know what I've got on this clipboard. I grabbed a handful as I left because I am a writer, not just a forever expounder. So I've got them in line here, and I think I'm just going to go through them and see what I've got. He wanted more time. He needed to go slow. He didn't know if he'd stay the night. He was scared. My entire afternoon of agonizing to shave or not to shave, legs and underarms wasted. Thank God I did not. I couldn't handle rejection and razor rash all in the same night. Yeah. Like it says, the mundanities of life. It's true though, isn't it? Isn't it true? And so I've taken the agony completely out of the whole process. I just don't. Don't, honey, don't. And they're just lined up at my door going, where's those hairy legs? I want to see those hairy legs. Not true. I like the smell of smoky taxis. Reminds me of something I can't quite remember because my third eye won't close long enough to let me recall. I like men in leather jackets who stare directly at my breasts, and I walk a little slower from the waist down as I pass on by, and I always pass on by. I like sleeping with Foster, my stuffed bear, who never stops loving me, is warm and ever there in the dark, grows uglier by daylight, not unlike some live bears I've known. I like chain smoking while writing this, and I must say I hate the complexity of it all, whatever it is. Perhaps it's the well-kept secret that at well over 200 pounds, well, you know, I still am the world's greatest lover, but seem to cherish the secret more than the act. And maybe I'll start dieting tomorrow, maybe. Written before I quit smoking. Still feels that way, though. I think once you've smoked as long as I have and enjoyed it as much as I did, I was not a smoker who quit and went, oh, isn't that wonderful? I'm reformed. Isn't that great? I'm like, right now, at this minute, I'm going, I remember. It was a nice night. Everything was connected to the smoking, you know, everything. You would inhale and have a brilliant idea. And then you would exhale and I don't know where it went. So you'd have to do it again, you know. Night after night. Ooh, I like this one. I was madly in love with one of it's the person I'll give credit for teaching me how to play. Until I was 40 years old, I didn't know how to play. I knew how to play games, and I knew how to play people, and I didn't know how to play, though. And so, according to her, I helped her find God, so I don't know who got the better deal. Her goddess, actually. My lover is a poet, puts me down in rhyme, how the earth would crumble if she moved on down the line. Words are power structured, written through her art, like epic, mighty, tragic, and how I touch her heart. She sees me as Grand Canyon, has me floating on the Nile, writes of my magnificence in monolithic style. My lover is a poet. She says I'm the lion's pride. Gives me words of praise and love, pinned masks in which we hide. She sees me as Svengali, a giant magic show, gives me too much credit for the things I do not know. I have the words in order, but if the truth be known, well, I'd swap one real night of passion for every single poem. I look old today. My face, I've always depended upon to reflect the fiber of my youth, has fallen. I sit at a bus stop. A rare penetrating sun pierces the fickle flesh around my eyes, mouth, and throat. I am carried back away from this Ohio of dark lament and grim future. Back where I am home, wrapped in flamingo pink, warm to the marrow as Pacific breezes shadow dance across my face. That face, that one, the one that never falls, the home of my forever youth. Ooh, I wasn't feeling very good that day. Well, no, don't you think that's a lot better than going, man, I look like shit today. That's all there is to it. It's like, oh my God, look. I love it when people come to me and go, you know, it's really so nice that you're not wrinkled. And I go, well, thank you ever so much. It's really nice that you're not fat. Think about it. I will be someday when I lose all this weight. I too can be wrinkled. Okay, we'll pass on that one. I like this one. If you hear her say it was the greatest love in her life, you can just know she was speaking of the pain. She cried through 10 years of love. Well, she is not in love now, and it's painless, and it's killing her. I did some things in the front regarding my dad. I guess you figured that out. He was the one that wanted to kill that big old stuffed rabbit. And it's how you take, not that I meant to make this a seminar, but it's nice to chat about it a little bit. It's nice to take something really mundane, which I would say buying a purple bunny from the Jewel Tea Man in 1947 is pretty mundane. But nothing was ever mundane in our house. My father had to make everything a bloodbath. Not physically, but in every other way possible. He had to have control. And he never, as they say, knew me or wanted to. It was always there. I don't know, there's something weird about someone being around all the time that isn't. It's a strange thing. Father, a fine mind squandered in pursuit of grander themes, a waste to give the hummingbird its due when spring was new, he said to me. A rock to sit upon, a queen in the green, hiding. The willow weeps for hours frozen, a child's dream gone unspoken. I'll not forget you, Father, for the days I can't reclaim. I will forgive in time a fading spring and you who couldn't ever speak my name. That's the nicest thing I've been able to write about my father. I spent a lot of years feeling really guilty about that. I spent a lot of years not doing shows because I couldn't do father material and everything. I was just getting really bogged down. And I realized that there was, how do you put it? Something I needed to take care of. And one of the mistakes that I made was in believing the fact that I was going to completely forgive him someday and that everything would be okay. That's not happening. Everything is getting okay, however. And me learning how to deal with all that. I don't know, I just come to a conclusion. My first husband died, and my father died in 1980. And I'm just thinking that maybe when you're dead, it just makes you dead. It doesn't make you better. And I was raised in a society where if someone died, then they became better, somehow, some way. Well, perhaps they are in the great giver's eyes, in the great watcher, or in the great God, or whoever it is that runs these matters, if anyone's running them. But in my personal life, I kept trying to apply that to what had actually happened, and of course made a mess of the whole thing, because I ended up never, ever, ever for 1 minute letting myself off the hook. It's called neurosis. Anyway, let's see, enough of this. This is a good definition of success. That's when a lot of you here are probably writers, I would guess. I think everybody in California is a writer. I do believe, yes. I would like to have more publishers at my show, but you writers are welcome. Success, the definition of success, lobbing a first draft into the trash. I mean, you're on your way. I like that one. I had an artist friend who was a wonderful artist, and he would sit on Spanish Landing. If anyone's ever been there, it's a beautiful place at sunset. Well, it's beautiful all the time, but especially at sunset. And the way the sun sets at that particular area, the way the arm reaches around the bay, it totally envelops the city with the shadows and the light, where you might not get it from any other place in San Diego. Came to discover that. I realized why everyone likes to paint there. Well, I'm not a painter. This is my idea of good handwriting. I have, and very old paper. These are called first editions in the biz. Anyway, so I envied him so, the way that he could paint, the way that something would happen from out here into his brain, down into his arm, and out to his fingers, and into the brush, and onto the canvas. And to me, it was, he had been burned as a witch in another time for magic. It was wonderful. Even people that don't paint well, I'm kind of envy the fact that they can do it, you know. Because I can't. I have tried. It's not one of my talents, and it wasn't right to belabor it past second grade, I don't think. So one day we were sitting out on Spanish Landing, and I was telling him about this. Basically, it was pretty much envy, blatantly. I was kind of mad at him. Here I am with my little notepad trying to go, well, yes, the sun is sinking into the horizon, and it's where the sand kisses the whatever, and it's like, this is not working, and well, look at what he's doing. And instead of course, totally appreciating it, I was, mad at him. That's what artists do, right? But I mentioned it to him, and we processed. And he said, well, you can paint. I see he's a much nicer person than I am. I would have gone, well, I don't know. That's just God gave me that talent. Just kept right on painting. But poor thing. But no, I don't know that I'd have done that, but it would have crossed my mind. Okay, all right. Another thing I have to forgive myself for, I go to sleep. Anyway, so he told me that I could paint. He said, what I would like you to do is take the pencil, put it in your hand. He took my pen away from me and gave me a pencil. I don't know what magic there was in that, but that's what he wanted to do. And he said, now the sun's setting. He said, we only have about maybe 2 more minutes, and there won't be any light at all. There'll be a little light, but no shadow. He said, paint it in words. And I've only done that once, but I did do it. So if you'd like to, you can close your eyes, leave them open. You can do whatever you want. But we're on Spanish Landing. The pink slowly slipped around the city's knees and shimmered to the ground, leaving nothing but the shadow of a splendid body waiting in the dark. That's my painting. Yes, I have to thank Dr. Lee for that, good friend of mine. Okay, let's see what's really on the agenda here. We'll do one more just for fun, just to prove that we can have a little fun. Okay, this is called Just for Fun. It's about being in love with a Gemini. You know what happens, I should warn everyone, once you're in love with a Gemini, you are always in love with a Gemini. Because when you're in love with a Gemini and you're an artist, they inspire you to do all these wonderful things, and you just can't bear to let go of them. So you keep telling them over and over, and then you make up things, which is even better. Gemini woman, bubble woman lighter than air, bonbon rainbow sphere. Hey, what's your trip? Oh my, look at this. The bubbles split. A real phenomenon. Where there was one is now a twin, self-contained androgynon. Kitty woman running in the rain, heaving hard down the Serengeti plain. What's the hurry, you purry fury? Did your bubble get away? Just when you thought they'd both stay and play? Thus, here's the cosmic fact. If you're going to play with bubbles, you'd best not be a cat. Oh, gee, the three of we, you, and me. Oh, Gemini. Oh, Jiminy. Oh, shit. That was fun. Yeah, I love this astrological thing because everybody's always so deeply into it. And I find myself, especially with the Better World, we touch on a lot of areas. And I'm actually starting to do readings in my shop. I have the little crystal shop here, and I find it very interesting because people would come in night after night and go, you do readings, don't you? And I go, no, I just wear a long skirt. I am not the reader. And then go, no, I really think you do. I said, well, no, actually I don't. This went on for months, and finally Judy, most everyone knows, owns Better World, said, well, why don't you just do readings? I said, well, that doesn't seem right. And she said, she just give it a try. She said, you do it all the right, I do it spontaneously. So what I've done kind of is what I've done with this. I've taken my coffee shop chatter and bather and got up here on the stage, and now I'm taking all of my, so profound things I say to people holding crystals while I'm selling them to them, onto a little table, and now I can charge $25 per prospective customers. No, I don't take it lightly. I think I do runes. They're from the Nordic Scandinavian tradition. They're symbolic. They're Jungian, I believe. I like that. I think everything's a symbol. I drive everybody nuts in my life with symbols. I'll go, did you see that? Did you see that? Someone gave me a chain letter the other day, and I don't believe in chain letters. I do not do chain letters. I put them in the trash immediately. But and it was a friend of mine, a very good friend whom I really trust, and it was very important to her that I continue this, and there were no threats in the letter. I said I would think it over. It was all for goodwill and harmony and universal everything, mostly for a whole lot of money for all of us, right? So I take the letter and set it on the chair. In fact, I was rehearsing with these three lovely ladies in the front row here who did a show, and they were busy rehearsing, and I looked over by the toy chest over there, and there was $1 laying on the floor. And I looked around, and I looked back at the letter, and I went, well, by golly, I think that's an omen. I think I'm going to do that. So I really do believe everything's symbolic. Now, the fact is, probably someone walked through and dropped the $1. Well, so what? Don't bother me with details, I like that. Okay, let me get rid of these. The problem with me is isn't that I don't have enough material, I have too much of it, and I am just a very undisciplined person. So I rumble around through boxes for days, and every now and then something wonderful will happen. Stop it. Oh, that meant something? Oh my God! Oh, that means I'm supposed to be reading on this page. Oh, listen how good this is going to be. Dora's anger. Dora had criticized Dora because she didn't manage the hired help well. Isn't that inspiring? Sometimes you got to manipulate the universe, okay? Okay. I love it. That's very funny. One of the things that's always been funniest about me on stage, if I would just remember it, and you all feel free to laugh whenever you want, is when I take myself very seriously, it's really hysterical. So it's okay. If I get too serious, just let out a good guffaw. I know you will. I always depend on my friends to go, oh, stop it. Oh, way long time ago, Saturday night, 1963, 7 p.m. Hair tease, whoops, brows tweeze, Mouth, line, fill in, lashes curl, lashes paint, cheeks, highlight, breasts, push up, tie down, strap in, waist, cinch, belly, girdle, legs, garters, elastic puppet strings hanging off my hips, feet, stiletto, delicious pain. Slip into black sheath dress, sequined icing on this tortured cake. 22 and holding, 22 and holding. Red hot lips wrap a filter tip. Smoke curls out a painted. Red hot lips wrap a filter tip. Smoke curls out a painted nose up past jade tinted eyes. Deadly resolve points me toward the door, and an ancient lie leads me through it. 22 and holding. Well, there you go. You're having a good time on a Saturday night, cinching it in, pushing it up, popping it out, and I go and get serious about it. It was written in retrospect. It was written many, many years later, about 20 years later to actually be exact. Let's talk about the feet. Talk about these body parts for a minute. Feet. Stiletto. Delicious pain. I am so happy I can do this now. I don't say they are the loveliest things in the world. In fact, I'll say they're possibly one of the unloveliest things in the world. But my back doesn't hurt anymore. I'm not in a bad mood all the time. And I certainly can't blame my feet for it anymore. I tortured myself to pieces with these shoes. I married a man. Actually, we were very, 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 very young. And he was 16. He was 16. I was 17. On our way to hell. It was not a good union. In fact, for our honeymoon, that's kind of what happened. I digress, or go ahead or something here. When we got married, it was really weird. We decided to go out to, well, we didn't decide. It kind of got decided for us. I had my choice of going to Arizona with my mother and having the baby there, and then pretending I'd been somewhere skiing for 9 months. And then I thought of something. And in Arizona, get real. Or I had my choice of going up against my father, which I'd been waiting to do for a long time. This seemed like the perfect time to do it. And find the two states in the union that would marry such young people without a lot of consent. So in California, you had to go to court to get a court order. And my father couldn't marry me. He was a minister, but he wouldn't marry me. Well, what would people think? So we didn't have to want to embarrass him or anything. So he told me that there was only one way to do it, and that was to give the baby up for adoption and head out and do the whole thing. So I said, oh, okay. Sure, Dad. He and my mom were almost divorced at that time, and they spent most of their time fighting with each other about whose fault it was that I was pregnant. So that got them off my back for about 2 weeks while I made my plans. And they were pretty fierce about the whole thing. Each one of them, well, I asked my dad, I said, how did you know I was pregnant? Because he kind of sort of told me. He said, well, I've never known a 17-year-old girl to come and ask to go have a physical because they're feeling kind of poorly. That's how I found out, because I went to the family doctor and asked my dad to pay for it, and that is odd. How many teenagers ask to go for a physical? I mean, that's a little strange. So he was busy making all these plans. My mom was fighting the thing because she thought I should keep the baby, and back and forth. And I went and got the World Almanac and found out where you could do this. So we could go to Maryland. I think there were 3 places: Maryland, Idaho, or Utah. So I chose Utah because it was closer to Las Vegas, and I figured we could go there for our honeymoon. I was very practical, 17-year-old. So I went to my dad, told him that's what we were going to do, and he said, no, you can't. And I said, yes, we're going anyway. And he and I cashed in all of our green stamps, S&H green stamps, which are real popular, then our blue chip stamps. And between us, we had, we had enough for a push cart and an ottoman. We had our house half furnished, I think. So we were pretty independent little kids. And he had a part-time job as a busboy. So, I mean, we were ready to go. So my dad buckled under, and we went to the wedding together, all of us, in the middle of July, through the desert, with my husband's mother, who was a very, very, very steady drinking alcoholic, and who decided to go on the wagon for the 3 days. So we have my warring parents in the front seat, the alcoholic who's drying out next to them, my husband and I in the back seat. Well, we decided we'd wear our wedding clothes to the wedding. When I was starting in California, we're going to St. George, Utah. In those days, girls wore girdles under everything, and they wore everything under girdles. I mean, I was really packed in. Plus, it was very important. I didn't look, So we got me all packed in. We get there, and when we get into town, we find out that there is not, well, I wanted flowers. And I told Stacy, now Stacy and I, that was my husband's name, had fought all the way up there. And I think the fight went something like this. Did not, did too, you wouldn't, I would. I mean, we were really, we were processing. It was so sad. I look back at it like it's other people, because sometimes it's really hard to be who you are and to admit who you were. But there we were, little kids kind of flailing around. That's what my show is, what it's called, It's not an excuse, but some good reasons. So we get into St. George, dusty, dry little town, and I am in the back seat. I could be very loud even then, clamoring for flowers. Where's my flowers? I gotta have flowers. If I don't have flowers, it won't be like my wedding day. For God's sake, someone get me some flowers. And my dad's going, jeez, we'll find you some flowers. So they pull up in front of this florist, the florist. Everything in that town is the. 6 stores this way, 6 stores that way. So we pull into the florist, and we walk in, and of course we're sweating, and my girdle's girdling, and he and I are just like, ugh. And in the case is one big chrysanthemum. There's nothing else in the place. Nothing. Not even like fake stuff. So we went up to, of course, now a reasonable person would go, oh, wow, this is really a little town. Maybe I won't get flowers. Oh, right. No, I don't think so. I'm up to the counter, and I'm going, excuse me, is that all you have? Today's my wedding. Me. I was totally manic. I was panicked. I was scared to death, and I guess I felt if I had the flowers, everything would be just fine. It's kind of what became a theme in my life. We just move. Everything will be just fine. We just get a ruby ring. Everything. I'll get that fox coat. Right. So anyway, the man was very kind, and he explained to us that he had 2 funerals and a supermarket opening, and it was really tough that they just run out of everything. And but he did have some little banta orchids in the back, and he made this great big, really extraordinarily ugly corsage for me. And I put it on very proudly, and we marched outside, and my dad's going, thank God she found the flowers. So we get in the car. We go to the courthouse, and my dad and my husband to be fought for about 10 minutes over who would pay the $2 charge. Well, she's going to be my wife. Well, she's my daughter, and she's my daughter till you get married, and you're not married yet. Here, take the $2. So this went on for a while. In the meantime, his poor mother's over in the corner, and by now she's shaken pretty mightily. It was really sad. I didn't feel very sad at that time. I didn't like her very much, but she was having a terrible time. My mom's trying to comfort her, trying to get my father to quit trying to pay the $2. We get that whole fiasco over with, and I really have to laugh because I'm standing there with this corsage, this expectant, anxiety-ridden look, and the little clerk looks around. She says, now, who's the bride? Get her some glasses. So we finally we found a Mormon bishop who would marry me. Us. Me. Only one there. He wanted me, I know he did. It was written all over his face. I've been dreaming of a loud-mouthed, undisciplined girl in a tight green suit with a really bad corsage all of my life. Come here, baby. Oh, God. But anyway, he couldn't marry us legally, but he could marry us in his basement, where there's no air conditioning, because he was a justice of the peace. So we all went down into Valhalla, and here we were, and he wanted to give us marriage counseling. So we sat for a half hour while he proceeded to, tell us, I don't know what, just perfunctory stuff. And we went, okay, sure. Oh, yeah, we got that. Uh-huh. So we got up and we got the marriage done, and then everybody fought over who would sign the marriage certificate. And we got married. And we went outside, and my mom, God love my mom, she always had a camera with her. She just was going to capture this moment. Well, there was a Kodak spot out there, so the minister said, yeah, I'll take the pictures. So here we are, all huddled up together, outside, against the clay earth rising up behind us, in our Sunday best, and it's 110 easily. And he keeps going, smile, and we're smiling. He goes, okay, now back up a little more. Back up a little more. And I kept looking around, and this is one of those bad movies where we're like going, he's got us insured or something. Back up a little more. And my dad's really getting mad. He's going, what is wrong with this man? And I said, I don't know, but we got to do what he says. So we keep backing up and backing up. And finally, he's backing up and he's backing up. I mean, literally, he is a dot on the horizon. We're all clumped way back here, and my dad just screams. I'm going, that's enough. Just take the picture. So he took about 6 or 7 pictures. And we found out later, when I got the pictures back, there's a tradition in Utah, St. George, Utah. For one whole week, they have what they call Hell Week. And on the side of their clay mountain, in white chalk, they put the word hell. And this minister thought it would really be nice if it was in my wedding picture. So my wedding picture has 4 indistinguishable little teeny tiny dots under this giant word going hell. True story. Yeah. Symbology. Yeah, it was, definitely. But you know, that shows what kind of people we were. We didn't think it was funny. Nobody was laughing. I got the pictures when he ruined my wedding pictures. It wasn't until years later I realized that this whole darn life is material, you know? Very funny indeed. Anyway, I ramble. Well, I don't know where it's going, but I thought it was a good place to go. That young man died he was 21 years old, in an automobile accident. We were separated. And been separated for a long time. I already had one child by another man and was getting ready to have another one. And he was well off into his own life. We separated after 2 years of marriage. But we stayed in contact because he loved his kids. He really, really wanted to be a good father to his kids. He tried that. But he literally hated me. And it was a tough time. And I have a whole show that I am working on that. This isn't part of it, although it probably should be. Because when he died, it was really important for the church that we had lost contact with, because the minute I was 18, I was plain gone. It was important to my father that we keep up the pretense that I had died a grieving widow pregnant with his child. We would just ignore the fact that I had another baby at home that didn't look anything like him. It wasn't a secret. I don't like secrets. I tore my father to pieces. I don't like secrets. I believe in repentance, but I don't like secrets. And so I went ahead and went through the charade. So everything that my children, that his 2 children have, is talks about everything that wasn't real. There was nothing real. The funeral wasn't real. The whole way he died wasn't real. Everything about it was the biggest Woody Allen movie you have ever seen in your life. And I'm doing a show on that. I can hardly wait to get some of the material down, because it's a good one. And I think he was glad he died. He had the hardest life of any man I've ever met thus far. Till he met me. But he had a rough life. So I think there was part of him that was kind of glad to move on down the line. And as it turned out, he did have a brain tumor. They found out after he died. He didn't die of the brain tumor. And that explained a lot of his, what we might call, unusual behavior in our marriage. So he had a good reason too. Let me see if I can find this. Oh no, a kiss of death when you lose your place. As you can see all these books back here on the table. Anyone ever seen this old book called The Love Diet? A simple but complete explanation of the catalyst which can make any reasonable diet a resounding success. Yes, I have dieted, okay? I have dieted. I have, oh man, I've done it all. I have a dream. I dream about being anorexic. I dream of the sublime pleasure of not eating. I know how skewered this is, but it's still a dream that it comes up from time to time. Possibly part of an eating disorder. But I dream it. It's a dreamscape for me, somewhat like it might be if you were a fat little girl and dreamed of being a ballerina. You kind of pirouette around in this dream, and people put you on TV shows, and people realize what your problem is, and they cry, and Richard Simmons calls you. And your dad loves you, and all your bones, and your clothes hang on you. Oh man, do your clothes hang on you? And you're tragic and translucently beautiful. And in my dream, I don't die. I just remain anorexic and translucently beautiful. Now, in the midst of this dream, I come up with all kinds of schemes to stop myself from binging. Now, a lot of people binge. They binge on food, they binge on sex, they binge on anything that you supposedly, according to whoever the expert is today on whatever the balance is, whatever is excessive. This particular book is a real little stunner. It's based on Christian principles, which I take no umbrage with, other than the fact that a couple of chapters could cause you to take a gun and put it to your head. They have what they call level, yes, but then I can't do that because I'm having spaghetti tonight. They have what they call level 1, level 2, and level 3 binging. Not binging, see, let's get this, love. Love equals binge, right? Let's see if I can find it. Doggone it. It's a new piece I found a couple days ago, so I'm sorry. I'm not familiar with it. Give me a minute. Okay, characteristics of a diet based on level love number 1, or love level number 1. Many times this diet is started as a result of a challenging contest with other fatties. Don't you love that? Dieters on this level, this is a very nice, I do believe, yes, it's a man. There's a very nice man who wrote this, and I'm sure his carrying was in the right place, I guess. I don't know. Dieters on this level consistently talk about how well they're going to do for about a week, and then they give all interest or uninterested parties a daily report, much to the chagrin of the listeners. Well, that's true. We can all say that we've all done that, probably, anyone who has dieted, that is. They talk about an obvious sign that dieters are faltering is an absence of bragging about dietary success at coffee breaks. In other words, you don't want to tell anyone what you're doing, so you say nothing. A little depression sets in, discouragement, and stress causes dieters to abandon their routine. Now, on this level 1, here are hints for getting motivated, mileage out of level 1. This is kind of what they think are important. Oops. Hints for getting the most motivated mileage. Daily walking by a full-length mirror. Dressed only in your watch, without holding in your stomach. Second instruction. In front of that same mirror and dressed exactly as above, Jump as high as you can and land flat-footed, feeling the tremor, and count the seconds until the rolls settle. Well, who wants to do it and who wants to watch it? Here's sign number 3. Shave or put your hair, sans clothes, in front of the mirror. Well, they want you to shave or put your hair without your clothes in front of the mirror. That's what it says. I'm reading it. No, I read. I had amazement. No, this is one I missed. I'm so sorry. Now, you have to ask an honest friend to tell you how you really look. At that moment, you're supposed to ask an honest friend how you really look. Yes, I'm sure. Right. Or maybe you could do it, I know, support groups, right? You hold in my stomach while I jump. Try on a new form-fitted suit or a long one-piece knitted dress. Oh, yeah, right. I like this one. I love this one. Picture yourself confined to a nursing home as a result of the sickness that's caused by your overweight. Yeah. Okay. Try on your wedding dress or that pair of slacks that you wore in college. Walk that long, gradual hill or climb those 3 flights of office stairs. Are you gasping? Get the message? Take part in that game of volleyball at the church picnic or play versus student basketball contest. Even with these hints, however, level 1 can only take you so far down the diet trail. No kidding. How far? Says these hints and daily reinforced images of your obese physical condition will allow you to refuse many temptations as you begin your trek towards a new and slimmer you. I can get photocopies for anybody who wants one of these. Level 2, it strikes a vivid contrast to level 1 in that it characterizes an involvement of and commitment to other people within our realm. They make a long list here on this one. The list is pretty nauseating. Says here, trim and fit usually says to others, I'm important and so are you. Dumpy and soft usually connotes, I doubt my importance, and if I'm not sure about me, well, I'm certainly not sure about you. Reasons for dieting associated with level 2 usually sound like this. I'm going to lose weight because I want to live to see my kids grow up and be parents. My wife and kids have a right to have a healthy mom who can experience, my husband, well, anyway, you get it, a healthy adult to experience vigorous activity with them without fear of coronary. Our future plans for retirement are so exciting. I want to be fit and vigorous to enjoy that travel with that man I love. I want my kids to be proud of me when they introduce me to their friends. My children gave me such joy and pride. I don't want to cut it short through an illness which could have them totally being in control of my life. If poor health affects my ability to work, I won't be able to provide them with a college education and other necessities. I can't wait to see my grandchildren. Oh, the research staff under my direction will be the most efficient ever assembled if I'm healthy and can keep them together for just the next 10 years. Please, dear God, let me do that. They will be able to accomplish much for the good of mankind, and the congregation is growing in love and maturity and understanding. Their spiritual potential is exciting. Oh, dear Lord, I want to become fit and stay with Him to be used by You. I want to work with my boy for 10 years so he's able to learn the business from the ground up and buy me out so he too can have the benefit of financial security and material wealth. This is my reason for dieting. If poor health is my lot, who will care for my bedridden mother? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my binge. Rick, there's a tray in the kitchen. You want to go get it? $19.70. All these things are up here to peruse later if anybody wants to. Right here is fine. Thank you. Can they hear me with this? Does this work? I don't have an arm. Okay. There's a ritual that takes place when you're binging. Part of it's preparing the food. I've done a few food pieces before, and I always try to be spontaneous with it. So I have no idea what I'm getting ready to do now, but I am going to share. Except my food. I'm not sharing my food. Right. But I'll tell you all about it. I was a normal little girl size-wise. And till I was about 14. And at 14, I went up to the hellish weight of 132. I'm 5'4.5". And the family was ready for me. I came from a long line of very beautiful women. Both of my grandmothers, remember the crazy ones, were fat. So I have a feeling there was a hidden agenda that if we could get rid of the fat, we might be able to save the gene or hide it or something. And I've been going through all my black and whites, all my pictures. I was an extraordinarily beautiful young woman. In fact, I was dazzling. You know, I had such a pretty face. If you could just lose those 6 pounds. And so I struggled, and I struggled, and I struggled until I had to start eating in secret. Which was very easy for me to do because my mom and dad were entering into the most insane part of their relationship, which was violent and stormy and not at home much. So my brother and I kind of ran our home. We did what we wanted. I would put him to bed and I would eat. No one asked any questions. Nobody cared. And I loved it. It was when I felt pretty darn good about myself. I was able to be anyone I wanted to be. I was able to feel for about 1.5 minutes, which I've come later to find out is when the endorphins kick loose. Supreme drug of my choice. Now you'd think it would have been as a teenager candy bars and things like that, but no. I had strange appetites, very strange appetites. To this day, pasta is my weakness. And I cringe every time I see a new brother that goes, "You can eat all the pastas and grains you want." I'm going, "No, you can't. You can, I can't. I mean, I can, but I shan't. Well, I shouldn't, but I do." You know, that sort of thing. And every now and then I'll fall for it and go on some microbiotic kick, and I'm still sitting there at 2 o'clock in the morning eating 4 bags of noodles, going, "This is good for me." So anyway, there's a lot of different ways that you can go about doing this. A lot of people hang over the stove when they do this. A lot of people try to gulp down their food as quickly as they can so that nobody will know. I pretty much make great big gobs of something because I've learned through the years that it's stupid for me to think that I'm going to come back and cook some more. So I might as well do it all now. So I make sure there's a vast quantity on the stove. And then I find a very little tiny container and begin to eat. Now, like I said, rituals are very important, even for binge eaters. I don't eat sweets. I just want carbs, lots and lots of carbs. It doesn't always have to be Coke. Ice water does really well, too. It can wash down an immense amount of food. And I have to have chips with everything. And they have to get crumbled and cracked on top. Because you see, if when I take this first bite, I don't get that sense of crunchiness that I had from some time in my memory that I don't know exactly where it sits, then everything isn't all right. And I will become extremely upset. And God knows, I do not want to become extremely upset. So usually I prepare pretty quickly. I'm still not past hiding pasta in the house because it's a little embarrassing. I have trouble, or I'll say something. I remember my brother came in the other day. My mom's the other, and I go, "You're talking with your mouth full." He said, "Where'd you get all this pasta?" And I went, "Thrifty's had them 40 cents a bag." And everyone looks at me and goes, "Oh, okay." And that was the ones that he could see. And then he'll come back 2 days later and go, well, he's not stupid. He doesn't say anything. When my kids were little, I would sit up at night and I could hardly wait for them to go to bed so I could really eat. And there are certain rules when you're a binger. One is that you know when your binge time is going to be, which isn't every night, but it's often. So what you do is you make sure you don't eat too much food between 6 p.m. and 11 p.m. because if you do, you'll be too full to really enjoy your binge. So being full obviously isn't the problem here. So I run around a place like this that's full of delicious food and sometimes very healthy food.